Hey guys, you may have heard me mention a company called Hawkeye that rebuilds picture tubes. They're located in Iowa. Well, it's a one-man operation and he's going into retirement, and they are the last picture tube rebuilder in the United States. So I sent over the old 10FP4 picture tube from my GE802. Even though I do have a new old stock picture tube I got off of eBay that came in this box, I thought it'd be nice for the last chance I'll probably ever have in my lifetime to have a picture tube rebuilt. So I took the original 10FP4 from 1947, which was the first year those were ever available in, and I sent it out to Iowa to get it rebuilt. He's going to be shutting shop forever within another week or two, so this is like I said, my last chance to get a tube rebuilt. Wasn't cheap, but I hope it was worth it. Let's open this up and see what I've got inside. I was kind of paranoid about shipping this picture tube, but luckily I had this original box that was designed to hold this tube, so it has all the right bracing and support for it. And it looks like the tube survived just fine. I'll have to dig out a TV chassis that takes this tube so I can power it up and see how it looks. Well, just as I was getting ready to test this rebuilt picture tube, another one showed up. It was packed quite well with a box, foam, and then an inner box. Haven't opened this up yet, so I'm still my fingers crossed. Now what this should be is a 12-inch aluminized picture tube, just like this one is aluminized. And in case you haven't watched my other videos, what that means is you don't need to use one of these ion traps on the neck, because this has a thin aluminum coating on the inside of the glass. The ions that come out of the electron gun will not damage the phosphor on the picture tube. In particular, I wanted this to use in this set, which must have been left playing for far too long with a bad vertical, so it's got a nice horizontal line burned into it. I've never actually seen one of these aluminized 12-inch picture tubes. The few I do have are all 12 LP4s, which are the most common, so I was quite happy to get this. Now, it is used, but the seller did say it tested okay, so I'll take out my tester and let's see if that's really true. Well, here's the inner box. Turns out to be an interesting homemade jig the seller rigged up to ship the picture tube in. Good thing he did too, because this base is really loose. I gotta get some glue on that ASAP before this breaks off. I'm not sure how to open this up. I guess I'll try it from the other side. Well, ain't that pretty? The seller did warn me that he actually removed all the black outer conductive coating because he was just going to put this in a collection rather than actually try to use it. So I will have to recoat it at some point, but I should be able to test it without that coating. I pulled out one of my Admiral chassis and put the 10-inch rebuilt tube in it, and it's working incredibly well. This is with the brightness turned all the way down, and this is about as bright as some of my other tubes when they're cranked all the way up. So you can see I can get the brightness plenty bright. So yeah, this tube is looking really good. It's just a shame that I'll probably never be able to get a picture tube rebuilt ever again. I talked to the owner of Hawkeye, and he did cut a deal to sell his equipment to the Early Television Foundation in Ohio, who may pick up the reins and start rebuilding tubes again for collectors at some point. But they haven't announced their plans or anything, so we'll see. Now I'm going to try out the 12-inch tube. I pulled out a different chassis for the 12-inch tube and I've popped it in. I just turned the sun on, and hopefully I can hear sound, but got the brightness turned up all the way and I'm not getting anything. It's weird because this tube tested really good. I looked up the specs for this tube and it's virtually identical to the one I took out, other than the fact that this doesn't need that magnet I took off. So it leads me to think that maybe that conductive coating that the seller removes might be an issue. So I heard a trick you can do, instead of having to recoat the tube and wait for it to dry and all that, is to simply take some aluminum foil and wrap it around part of the tube and ground that to act as a temporary shield. So give that a try. I put a sheet of foil under the tube, so see if that makes any difference. That's kind of cool. Hope you caught that. As the set powered up and the 10,000 volts hits the picture tube, the foil jumped as it picked up a charge. Unfortunately though, I still have nothing. However, while I was putting that foil on and I looked at this tube a little bit closer, I noticed something I missed before. If you look at this electron gun assembly here, that second metallic element seems to be at a bit of an angle to the neck of the tube. That's what you commonly see on sets that need this ion trap magnet, because that means that the electron beam is shooting at an angle, and you need the magnet to bend it back so it's going straight to the front of the tube. I compared this to my other aluminized tubes that don't need a magnet, and they're all pointing straight to the front. They don't have that angle. So I can think of a couple possibilities. One is that this really isn't the 12KP4. All I can find on, the only marks I can find on the picture tube say CBS and Palomar, no actual model number. Another possibility is that this tube was rebuilt. I have heard that sometimes when they rebuild a tube, they would use whatever gun they had handy, and you may or may not need to use a magnet depending on what type of gun they put in there. So, well, I've got this magnet here, and I can dig up another single pole one, because some tubes use a double and some use a single pole, and it certainly doesn't hurt to try it, so what the heck. I picked up a whole box of these ion trap magnets at a Radio Swap Fest last year. I've been going through them and found one that's working out quite well. It's only a single suction ion trap magnet as opposed to a dual suction. Now this tube isn't supposed to need one at all, but it does for some reason. It's working fine, so I'm not going to complain. Like I said, these tubes are getting harder and harder to find, so I feel quite lucky to have one that's working. I hope you enjoyed this video on a couple black and white round CRTs.